Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks on TVC News. Our focus today is on the regulation of products in Nigeria, particularly examining the volume of substandard goods in the country, but looking beyond that challenge to what the regulators go through in carrying out their work. And my guest is the Director General of the Standards Organization of Nigeria, Malam Farouq Salim. Thank you for holding on. Thank you for your time so far. So you have been quoted in the media to advocate for the possible reparation of substandard goods back to their countries of origin. Is that correct?
Well, reparation is not the right word. Actually, it's return. I prefer return and refund. But the issue is, for that to happen, there has to be a trade agreement. So that's way above my pay grade. This is something that the government will have to go with individual governments. For example, if we're importing goods, say, from Ghana, and the president or the minister of foreign affairs and trade can get together of both countries and say, hey, listen, let's have an agreement. If goods come from your country and your citizens bought those goods, but we discovered after delivery they are substandard, can we return them back? And then your country, your authority will test those goods again to make sure they are substandard, and then punish those individuals because they are now your citizens, and then refund our citizens for buying those goods if they bought them unknowingly. Now, if, for example, a person goes to a country and say, hey, listen, I want the cheapest good I can get from you, and then you say, listen, it's going to be substandard. He said, don't worry about it. I'm taking it to Nigeria. They don't care. So he ships it to Nigeria. He was unlucky he got caught. And now, if you want to send it back, you can. But in this situation, we have evidence. If the manufacturer has evidence saying this was requested by this individual. So they will be punished by their country for making substandard goods, spoiling the name of their country. But then we now will have to punish the individual here without taking the goods back to their country, because the person deliberately bought those goods knowing they are substandard. So now we destroy them, and then we punish the person buying them. But if, on the other hand, the person blindly went to a factory and ordered and paid the price of standard items, but the guy fraudulently from the other end sent the substandard goods. Now, what we'll do is, in this situation, is for that person to go back to prove that they bought it as standard item. Now, the country there will have to be in a situation where they take those goods back and force the gentleman to repay the customer his money or her money, and then it's left to them what they do with their manufacturer. In our case, because it's a fraud against our individual, the person goes free because he didn't do anything wrong.
If you're able to prove it.
We prove it by saying he went there and paid for standards.
Unsuspecting.
Yes.
But what are the possible, do you envisage that there could be diplomatic consequences here?
Like what? What do you mean by that?
If, it hasn't been well thought out in some cases, it could affect bilateral relations with, the country that has been unduly punished.
Well, that's why you involve the higher authorities, because when it comes to trade deals and trade agreements, what happens is the politicians at the top, the leaders, have a concept. And then what they do is they get their underlings who are professionals, lawyers, international lawyers, local scientists, to sit down and iron out the agreement. In that process, that's where potential problems will be identified by both experts in the country. Because usually what leaders are given to sign is something that was vetted from both sides. So if we get to the stage where we have that kind of agreement, I assure you the experts would have vetted it on both ends, that there shouldn't be a problem. So that's why it's an agreement.
How is it being received since you expressed this position as an approach to combating substandard goods?
This is a wishful thinking on my part. I have not sat down with the Minister of Industry I have not sat down with the vice president, who is the head of the economic team in the country. I have not sat down with the president and proposed what I was thinking.
But are you optimistic about it because of the volume of substandard goods in the Nigerian market?
Optimism comes with when you articulate your thoughts and sell it to the authorities. But then you have to understand in this situation, it's a little complicated because now it involves other countries and other resources. I mean, there are some countries that depend 100% on exports. They're not going to just give up because they feel sorry for Nigerian people, that they will say, okay, we're going to give up $10 billion of trade because we want to make sure these Africans have standard goods sent to them. So this is something that it will take years to iron out, to convince the other countries to be able to sign up. Because it's an economic, moral issue. Some international relations are based on economy and some are based on moral issues. So now there has to be a balance between that. So what I'm saying is this is what I was thinking out loud, that in an ideal situation that we should be able to do that. Send back goods, punish the people who make them, and get compensation. But now we have to iron it out. But then for every great idea, it has to start with thinking about it. And then now we actualize it. So hopefully when I articulate the whole thing together, in addition to other things the organization is interested in, we can be able to sell the idea to the authorities. And then we will see if they will have the diplomatic ability and clout to sell it to our major exporters. Because people make a lot of money in these substandard goods, both countries. So it's a very delicate situation.
Okay, so we hope it's picked up on at the government level. Now let's look at other aspects of your work. The SON has started enforcement of calibration of installed loadway bridges across the country to prevent avoidable damage of roads caused by articulated vehicles. Was it always the SON's mandate to carry out this calibration exercise?
We have a metrology institute, which is part of our mandate. And there is another unit in the Ministry of Industries that does commercial measures. So to answer your question, yes and no. We have the ability and we have the mandate to do it, but there is another organization that is supposed to do it, but most likely they don't have the equipment to do it. And then we are now asked by the government to do the calibration of the weight bridges, which we're gladly doing right now. So
and this way, articulated vehicles have caused death, destruction, and sorrow in the homes of many Nigerians because of accidents occurring as a result of them not keying their tankers, their containers, well into the flatbed of their vehicles. Does government feel responsible for this?
Well, they do, because to the credit of the NNPC Group Manager Director, Mr. Mele Kyari, we're in a committee with him and others where they are now phasing out larger tonnage tankers, and they are fixing it on a lower weight, because what they figured is because of accidents and a lot of lives were lost because of those large vehicles just collapsing on the road and people trying to take some oil and then it blows up and kill people. So because of that, those tankers now they are phasing out the bigger tankers. Now we are helping them standardize a lower level, a lower amount, like 20, 30 ton trucks instead of the 40 ton, 60 ton trucks that currently are existing. And the thing is, with these weight bridges, which is something that we have those before in the 70s, believe it or not. And because in those days, if you see a regular trailer or a regular bus, even a car, if you are putting too much on your truck, the police in those days, visibly, they'll even see that there's overload in your truck. They will stop you and then have you drive to the weight bridge. If it is above the weight, they must remove the weight.
But they didn't even have to get to the road in the first place.
Yeah, but that's
They ought to have been stopped from moving from the point of calibration.
But you see, the whole issue is this. You see, you're looking at enforcement. In enforcement, you have Federal Road Safety. You have VIO, Vehicle Inspector of Police. You have the police. See, our job is to give the standards, to show the standards.
That's the point where they ought to have been stopped, at the point of standardization.
No, but you can't stop them. How do you stop somebody who goes to Alabama Market to load his lorry with overweight goods? Really, how do you stop him?
But you have the mandate to do that now.
I have the mandate.
If you couldn't do that in the past.
I have the mandate to set what is an agreeable limit for the roads. So if I come to you and say 20 tons is the maximum for this road, this is what we agree on. This is what the standard is. Then I take that standard and give it to the police, and I give it to the Federal Road Safety, give it to the VIO. Say this road that was just built today cannot take more than 20 tons. Then if there is a sign somewhere saying 20 tons only, because you see there are some areas in the world that you see a certain bar on the road where a certain height of a vehicle will not pass through that to make sure it's not taking too much weight. So in this situation, we set the standards. We tell you what you need on this road to make sure the road lasts for 30 years. But we don't have the right to stay on the street and wave a lorry that is overloaded. That is the job of other institutions.
Other enforcement agencies. So are you working in partnership with them such that, you know, when erring companies are caught, they can sort of send you the information of these companies such that, you know, they are checked in one way or the other, either through their licenses or, you know, they're not allowed to be on the road somehow?
You see, the ideal situation, this is the situation. Somebody goes and build a trailer. Our job is to make sure that trailer is up to standard. Okay? Somebody goes and build a tank. It's our job to certify that tank as up to standard. Now, if somebody load that truck the wrong way, or if they load that tank the wrong way, we don't have the right or the ability to stop them, because there's police, there's Federal Road Safety, there's VIO. So essentially, what you are asking me is, do I have the power to stop them? No. I have the power to stop them at construction level, at licensing level. But I don't have the power to manage the usage.
What they do afterwards.
The usage of it. You know, I come to you and I give you an iPad and I say, okay, this iPad, I've tested it, it's up to standard, it's good. But if your daughter picks that iPad and smash it on the floor, and you come to me and say, hey, listen, my daughter smashed it on the floor. I say, our standard says this is what the tensile of the glass is, this is what the content of the iPad is, everything that the manufacturer says it does is true. That's the standard. But if the standard is not how the product is used, that one you cannot control it.
So, we're going to look at other products that require standardization.
Yes.
But as we try to use this platform to educate Nigerians, yes. If we purchase anything, for instance, you talked about an iPad. Mm-hmm. Is there any SON seal that can attest to the authenticity of that product or that service?
All our local manufactured goods have a SON seal. If you grab a water bottle, you see a man cap with a little eagle flying there. It's there. So okay. Our local manufactured goods are certified and they have those little stickers. Our imported goods don't have that. That is where the product authentication module we try to do would have come in. Because then if you get your iPhone, you look for that little sign and then you scan it and then you verify it is there. So for all our goods made in the country that we certify, they have our logo on it. So that is.
So let's talk about food now. There is a certain canned food, I don't want to mention the brand now,
yes.
that the counterfeit of it now abounds in the Nigerian market, and this particular canned food has always been there, even from when I was a child. I wonder if the organization is aware, because Nigerians are buying it and it's endangering lives.
We standardize goods.
And where does this, before you answer that,
Yes.
where does this aspect of your work, where does it, have to do with a collaboration with NAFDAC?
Well, that's what I was going to say. The
Yeah.
food, the actual food in the can is NAFDAC issue. They are supposed to, or with their job is to make sure the food, the product, is regulated and is up to the standard. We set the standards, they regulate it. That's why they're food and drug
Yeah.
regulators. Now, if you say the can bust or the can is getting roasted, that is something we can look at. The container of the food, the place where the food is manufactured. This is something we can look at. If the container of the food is not up to standard, it's within our purview to say, hey, you cannot use this container to send the food. If the factory they are making the food is not following the management systems and the manufacturing systems that are set, it's our area to do that. But the actual content of the food and the authenticity of it, that is totally NAFDAC. We collaborate on products like that. We are now working together with NAFDAC to minimize our customers, our local customers, manufacturers, being inspected by two organizations for the same thing. We have a committee that is doing a wonderful job. And actually last week I had an opportunity to speak with Professor, DG of NAFDAC, we are getting to the level where eventually the ideal situation is if we go into a factory to do something, then NAFDAC will have the opportunity to see what we do, and then they can build up from there. And then if they go there ahead of us, we should be able to build up from what they did. But it's a work in progress. We are working to collaborate. But certain items that are not food or drugs are totally SON's purview. And if we have stuff like that, which we do on a regular basis, that's why we have the unit, the intelligence unit that monitors most of these things in the market. So like 2 months ago, we had issues with lubricants, fake lubricants. We did an enforcement, and I'm glad to say we are cleaning up the market in a way. The same thing with fake irons in the market. At one point, some company reported that their products had been faked. They were one of those irons. So we went into the market, took out the fake ones, arrest the people that are involved. So the areas that we are responsible, we get a lot of public information intelligence through our units and through our free phone lines that we always advertise, and they call and report those issues. And we try within our resources to follow up on every lead we get.
Okay, we'll find out more about that. But now let's return to your exit from the ports.
Yes.
Since 2011. First of all, what has that cost the organization, and especially Nigeria, in the work of regulation?
Well, the biggest cost to the organization is the fact that Nigerians are getting injured, killed in some situations by fake products. The other big issue that we are suffering is the image issue, because now we cannot do our jobs. So now if something bad happens, say a house caught on fire because the cable was fake, it's an iron cable instead of copper. They imported it through the port, we didn't see it. Now the house on fire, people are dead, and then somebody will say, well, what is SON doing? They have not done anything. So we are losing a lot of image, we are losing a lot of lives, and the economy is suffering because for every fake product imported into this country, there are authentic products in Nigeria manufactured that are not getting market, which means there are a lot of companies who will eventually fold, and then individuals will lose their jobs and the government will lose tax revenue. So it's a lot. You cannot measure the damage done to the organization and done to the country by this singular act. I mean, but the thing is good intended policy, you know. But what I always tell people is this: if you have 3 organizations that you allow to go into the port, primary organization, the customs, because it's their job. The next organization, number 2, has to be the Standard Organization of Nigeria, because we check standards of everything that comes there except food and drugs.
But perhaps
But
government's position of, you know, the ease of doing business thing has also to do with the character, the conduct of officials who are regulating products coming in at the ports. And I say this because in 2015, an undercover investigation talked about how no fewer than 7 agencies inspect goods at the ports, and they collect 1,000 naira on each inspection, an illegal fee, by the way. And perhaps if 1,000 containers were inspected in one day, the officials would be going home with 1 million naira each for each agency. So perhaps this also has to do with corruption.
Well, before I get to the corruption issue, the organizations that are allowed in the port, I assure you they're not 7. They're not 7. Because from my knowledge, I may be wrong, I know the customs are allowed, the immigrations are allowed, and then the NAFDAC is allowed, which boggles my mind. If NAFDAC is allowed, doing about 20% of the job we do, why are we not allowed to go back in there? And then the other issue, I know the ports have people probably trying to sneak into the country, but the immigration department is allowed there, for crying out loud, you know. So the consequences of that is a lot. Now the corruption issue, we are working, since I started work 4 months ago, we are working on sanitizing the system. We are moving people around, moving them from one area to another, because a lot of times, one of the reasons why corruption gets institutionalized is when you have an individual sitting there for 5 years, for 6 years, doing the same thing every day. So now familiarity breeds, you know, corruption. So the part that I can do is to move people around departments. They get experience in other departments, and also they don't stay there long enough to create graft issues and all that. So on my part, what I can control, I'm controlling. I'm trying to change the culture in the organization, trying to move people around to do their jobs, but I cannot control what other organizations are doing. I mean, a typical example is we caught containers in Port Harcourt City, in the market, of used tires that were stuffed. So first of all, used tires are not allowed into the country. They're illegal because you cannot confidently attest to their usability and safety.
If Tokumbo tires are also, can be categorized as used tires,
well, they are.
They are bound in Nigeria,
but they are not allowed
in the markets.
by law. They are not allowed by law. The law says we cannot allow tires that are used into the country.
But that's what motorists are using. So
but that's what I'm trying to explain to you. It's not me.
Your work has not even started in that area.
No, but the point is, if I caught those 4 containers before they came into the country, that means 4 containers I destroy, 4 containers I prevent. But by luck and chance, we caught this in the market, in a store in the market. Now, my people are not in the ports. They didn't let those goods in. So in this situation, I try my best, and I'm doing my best every day, but I am not responsible for those tires coming into the country. If I have the access to check those containers, either by using scanners or by using physical inspections,
at the point of entry,
I guarantee you no Sun employee will see used tires or use stuffed tires, because what this means by stuff is they will take 1 tire and put 5 tires in it. The reason why they do that is instead of getting 5 containers and pay 5 containers fees, they will only get 1 container. Now the problem is that you stuff all these containers into one tire. The tire that is stuffed loses elasticity. You cannot, even if it is new, you cannot now guarantee that it will do this job. And then the one that is squeezed in there, that too, you break it and you destroy a lot of tension, because tires are not meant to be squeezed. They're supposed to be inflated and used to travel. So this is a very dangerous issue. People are dying every day on the roads because of that. Yes, in the market there are Tukumbo tires, but the bottom line is, I cannot have 1,700 employees in every market in Nigeria, and then there is not enough police in this country to follow one employee into every market to grab the used tires. So the best thing to do is to stop them from coming in. When you have one item coming in, you have already 30 police there. We grab that item, we take it away. We have a warehouse right 5 minutes from the port. So we move everything there, so that gives us opportunity to inspect it, to see if it is okay, and then we destroy it. But you cannot, there's only 300,000 police in the country, for crying out loud, So we have 774 local governments in the country. So if you take even 20 police in every local government.
Still inadequate.
Inadequate. And then my people, how many police will be available to follow them to Quarry Market or to Sabongeri Market in Kano to go and take out those used tires? Yeah. It's not practical.
Yeah, very vivid,
yes,
if we try to imagine it.
Yes.
Still talking about Sun employees, there are reports that some importers say that your men during product examination cut away expensive items during examination, and this is in addition to samples freely given to them for testing purposes. Are you aware? Has this been brought to your notice?
There is an allegation about those things, but we have a policy that we don't take samples that are not for testing. Any employee that does that is doing illegality. And if any importer has evidence that an employee, in addition to the required amount for testing, is asking for more samples, they are at liberty to report them, and they will be punished. We don't condone.
So what lines, are there phone lines that they can be reported
Yes,
to?
they do.
Please, let's have them.
Well, we do, and most of our importers have access to us, because, mind you, before they import their goods, ideally, if it is a finished good, they go through our SunCap program, where they put their informations in, and then they pay a fee, and then
and what if your employees try to blackmail them by denying them certification or approval if they report it?
I doubt if that is possible.
But that's going on a large scale.
Most of our certification now is automated online. Especially our import SunCap is automated. We are working on making the ManCap automated too, so that in the comfort of your room in Kano, you can go through all the processes. So the room for blackmailing every society is there, but the bottom line is, if an employee is caught doing such an illegality, it's actually a prosecutory offense. It's something that actually we can not only dismiss the person after the court find them guilty, but they will be jailed for that. We don't take those kind of actions easily. We take it seriously. No employee should use their position to blackmail, bully, or extort anybody. It's not acceptable.
Now, the 2015 amended Act for the Standards of Organization of Nigeria, as you have said earlier,
yes,
strengthens the backbone of the organization,
yes,
to carry out its work. But this is the prosecution aspect now. In spite of that, it seems that prosecution of erring individuals is few and far between.
Well, I think you probably didn't listen to your news lately. There are a lot of news, even from TVC, that we have people that were prosecuted. 3 people were prosecuted just last month, and 1 was found guilty and locked up. Currently, we are in a court with some lubricant, fakers. So we try our best with our resources, and we do prosecute people, and there is evidence of that prosecution.
But compared with the quantum of fake goods that are bound, and even the manufacture and importation of local fake goods, there should be more.
There should be more, I agree with you. But you see, that's the problem. Which one comes first, the egg or the chicken? Do we get access? Do we get resources? They increase our activity. It's a, it's a catch-22. You don't, what can you do? We are doing our best. I have probably, I don't want to lie about it, I probably have 50 lawyers for the whole organization, or less. And half of them were donated generously by the Ministry of Justice to us, to help us do our work. I don't have enough lawyers to go around even our state offices. So it's, but we are doing the best we can. Trust me, the importers, the manufacturers, and the market individuals, if you ask them about sun, they will tell you the last 4 months is a big difference. And we are working together with them.
Really? We look forward to hearing those reports.
Yes.
All right, as we custom, DG, African markets have been thrown open with the nod given the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. From your experience and from your study of the books, prior to your appointment, can the quality of Nigerian goods compete favorably in, the African market following this agreement?
Absolutely, yes. I just mentioned to you earlier on in the early discussion we had that people are actually faking Nigerian goods, bringing them in and saying it's made in Nigeria. So most of our goods...
But you mentioned a particular product.
But that's one product.
Wide array of goods, yeah.
I'll give you another example.
Okay.
We have lubricants made actually in Kano. These lubricants are exported to even Middle Eastern countries, to the point where, you see, nobody fakes a bad product. People fake good products. If you have a Cartier, somebody fakes a Cartier. But nobody is going to go and fake a watch that nobody knows and nobody wants. So this product that I was talking about from Kano is lubricant, was not only exported to Middle East and other countries, people started faking those products. And part of the enforcement I was telling you about is we caught these people in the market here with imported containers, imported labels, slapping them on the label saying made in Nigeria, made in Kano with the address of the organization, and then they are pouring the wrong stuff in the container. So yes, we have a lot of industries in this country that are up to standard. They are doing very well. There is no doubt that Nigerian goods will succeed in an African free market. The only problem we are having is allowing other products to come in that are fake, that will destroy our goods, because you have to understand quality costs money. So if our goods are high quality, but fake products are coming in, and the person who buys fake products may not necessarily buy the same fake product, but now that money is wasted, and our factories are not the best for it. So people lose their jobs. So yeah, I have no problem with thinking that Nigerian industry will succeed in a fair, open African continent.
Indeed, it's a mixed bag in the work of standardization of products in Nigeria. But there are highs and there are lows. If the organization can be giving the wherewithal to work, definitely it will thrive much more than it is already doing. That's our package on the program today. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much, Director General, Standards Organization of Nigeria, Malam Farouq Salim. Thank you very much for your time on the program today. Join us again same time next week when we'll bring you another edition of the program. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now.